Miami Dolphins are staying busy on their bye week. They made a roster move today. Juju Brents, it was announced earlier this week that he is going to be out for the rest of the season with that foot injury. So Miami made that official, placing him on IR. Now, since they had an open roster spot and only 4 active corners, that being Rasul Douglas, Jason Marshall Jr., Jack Jones, and Ethan Bonner, you assume they were going to add a 5th, and they did. They plucked A.J. Green, no, not the wide receiver, off of the Rams practice squad and added him to the 53-man roster. And if I'll be honest, I think this is a sneaky good move. I think A.J. Green can play a little bit here. And on today's show, we're going to look at his history, where he comes from, what he's done in the league in the past 5 years, because he has been more productive than you probably would have thought he would be, just because you've never probably heard of him before. But because you've never heard of him before, let's talk about the young man. 27 years old. He's got great size, 6'2", 198. He attended Oklahoma State University and ultimately was an undrafted free agent in the 2020 draft, and he signed with the Cleveland Browns and actually made a difference for that Browns defense. But before we get into that, make sure you join the notification gang, because we're dropping 2 videos a day and we go live 3 times a week as well. And when news breaks like this, we have you covered, so don't miss the content. Hit that notification icon. Only 13.7% of you have it on. Let's get that up. But more about A.J. Green. I mentioned he was with the Cleveland Browns. He was actually with them for 3 seasons, 2020, 2021, and 2022, and spent the preseason with them in 2023 before ultimately being waived. After he was waived, he latched on with the Minnesota Vikings. He was with them for the beginning of the 2024 season, was released off of the practice squad, and then signed with the Rams practice squad at the end of 2024, and was with the Rams until today, when the Dolphins signed him. And when he was playing at Oklahoma State, he was a second-team All-Big 12 corner in 2018 and 2019. So he rounds out a cornerback room that looks like this. Obviously, Rasul Douglas returning from injury, missing a pair of games against the Bills and Commanders. With the bye week, he will be fully healthy and returning against the New Orleans Saints in Week 13. He joins Jack Jones on the boundary once again. And now your depth certainly will be tested. Instead of Juju Brents on that depth, it's Jason Marshall Jr., Ethan Bonner, and the newly signed A.J. Green III. So let's go back in time here to when he was coming out of college from Oklahoma State in that 2020 draft. The scouting report on A.J. Green was this. A couple positives. He has really good size, mentioned the 6'2" height, and he has really good arm length at 30 7/8 inches. It allows him to be physical at the line of scrimmage. His calling card at Oklahoma State was his physicality and ability to jam opposing wide receivers at that line of scrimmage. But he's also not afraid to get mixed up in the run game. He is a good tackler and run support. Now, some of the question marks coming out of college was his athleticism. He doesn't have that top-end straight-line speed, which allows him to get beat against really speedy wide receivers, and he struggles to stay in phase. That was in college, and that's been the same case in the NFL, which has also, kind of like a chain reaction here, forced him to be a little grabby when he gets beat because he doesn't want to give up the big play, so he gets a little handsy and ultimately got flagged quite a bit in college and both in the NFL. But I do actually think not only can the guy play, and we'll show some of his coverage stats in his career in a second, but it is a solid short-term replacement for Juju Brents. Think about what made Juju Brents special for the Miami Dolphins. Oh, it was his size and physicality, because he's 6'2", he's 200. He plays with strong physicality, pressing at the line of scrimmage, good tackler in the run game. So if Miami is looking for that prototype Juju Brents replacement on their depth, and it made only a lot of sense to go after another corner that has good size, good arm length, and plays physical to kind of, you lose that in your room? Well, now you replace that with maybe someone not as good, not as talented, but someone that plays in that same type of mindset. Size and physicality, the 2 key words there, and that's why I think this is a pretty solid signing. Good Juju Brent's replacement for the final couple months of the year. And I want to welcome A.J. Green to Miami, newest Dolphin. Show him some love. Spam his first name initials down in the comment section. A.J., let me see it. I want to see the love. So let's look at A.J. Green's time in the NFL. He actually has not had a snap of regular season football in each of the last 2 seasons, and really actually the last 3 seasons. The last time he played was in 2022. But if you look at his numbers with the Cleveland Browns in 2021 and 2022, they were surprisingly pretty solid, especially in 2021, when in 176 snaps, which was only about 5 games, by the way, he allowed a completion percentage when targeted of 27%, a QB rating of 21.4. He looked like a hidden gem for the Browns in the back half of that year in the 5 games he appeared in. But when he got a little bit more of an opportunity in 2022, it was ugly. He got beat for a couple scores, a completion percentage when targeted of 80%, and it ultimately led to him, well, not getting many playing opportunities in 2022 and beyond because he struggled so much. It certainly wasn't 2021 A.J. Green. And I want to quickly just go back and highlight A.J. Green's 2021. He played 176 snaps in 2021. Out of every corner that played at least 176 snaps in 2021, there was 149 qualified corners that played that many snaps. A.J. Green had the best PFF grade and the best coverage grade. So, yes, albeit uber small sample size, only 5 games played. He was ranked as the #1 corner in 2021 in that 5-game sample size he had. So the guy certainly has showed in the past that he can play. Do I think he's going to be elite and really good for the Dolphins? No, that's probably a stretch. But the guy can come in and at least, I think, not look like the worst corner imaginable. He actually did get a game day elevation this year. I mentioned with the Rams, he's been on the practice squad. He was activated to the 53-man roster ahead of their Week 6 game against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, he did not appear in the game. He did not record a snap, but he was at least thought of by the Rams front office as a player that could be called upon if necessary due to an injury against a shorthanded Ravens team, enough to get him called up to the active roster. So, there is interesting note there that maybe the Rams feel like he was a player that was elevating throughout the season on the practice squad, on the scout team throughout the year. Have you or a friend ever experienced loss, which has you thinking about how to secure your family's financial future? With life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered. Right now, you can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online, no medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. Some policies begin as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. As we get back to A.J. Green, I mentioned he has not played in the last couple of years in the regular season, but he has gotten some time, obviously, in the preseason. He was with the Vikings, as we noted earlier, in 2024, and with the Rams this season. When you look at the last couple of years, he's looked like a very solid corner, at least in the limited opportunities against second and third stringers during the NFL preseason. I mean, look at the numbers. A 39.6 QB rating when targeted, 79.2. I know 2022 with the Browns was extremely rough. He was getting torched game in, game out. But he was really good in a 5-game stretch in 2021. And in these 2-3 preseason games, each of the last 2 Augusts, he's been really good. I am not going to claim A.J. Green to be an elite player or someone who's going to come in, take the league by storm, and ultimately get re-signed to the 53-man roster for 2026 with the Miami Dolphins. But I think the kid can at least play. And I think he may be a sneaky solid addition to this Dolphins cornerback depth chart if they make him active. I would likely assume Miami, who has been sticking with 4 corners, 5 corners at times, but mostly 4 active corners a week, they probably make him inactive, right? The 4 healthy corners will be Douglas, Jones, Marshall Jr., and Ethan Bonner. Those will be the active ones. And you doubt A.J. Green ever is active, but if one of those other 4 we mentioned ultimately gets banged up and misses a game, I don't think I would be that concerned with having A.J. Green be activated and be active for a game in the last 6 weeks of the season. But as we shift our eyes from A.J. Green, all eyes are now pointed towards Jason Marshall Jr. And I want to use the end of the show to talk more about him. Because with Brents being hurt, that was your CB3 behind Douglas and Jack Jones. Now it's Jason Marshall Jr., the rookie 5th-round pick out of Florida. It certainly ain't Ethan Bonner, because when he's been on the field in limited opportunities over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been absolutely horrid. But so is Jason Marshall Jr. Like, he hasn't played a ton this year. He's only appeared in 6 games, but a 38.3 overall grade, 41 coverage grade, and he hasn't been good in run defense or tackling either. It's been a really rough start to his NFL career. And it's kind of why I was so skeptical of the selection made by Miami last April. And if you were with us for our NFL Draft live stream on day 3, you would have known my reaction to this pick. It wasn't very positive. And I hope to be wrong. And you heard good things in the preseason and in training camp, but you haven't seen it translate into the NFL season. I mean, he's getting absolutely picked on when he's actually on the field. He's given up a couple touchdowns, a QB rating of 151.0. Now, he did have a really good game against the Commanders. He came in and only played 19 snaps and was one of the highest graded players on the Dolphins defense in that Week 11 game. Had a really clutch PBU on the final regulation drive by the Commanders. He almost intercepted Marcus Mariota. But for the entire season, he has been pretty bad. And there's no sugarcoating that. And I don't think it's crazy. Like, I'm not going to come up here and call him a bust. He's a 5th-round pick that we knew needed a lot of development. Former big-time recruit, went to Florida, struggled at times, very up and down, but Miami took the flyer on him because of that talent that people thought he had going back to his high school days and a couple of his early seasons with the Gators. And you really question the depth of this cornerback room going forward. I talked about how A.J. Green might have to play this year, and I would feel not the worst about him being out there. Well, I don't feel great about Jason Marshall Jr. and Ethan Bonner being your CB3 and CB4. Douglas and Jones have been really good this year. I don't actually have a problem with those two anymore. They've been mainstays and almost like rocks for that defense. Immovable. They've been great. But if one of them goes down, oh boy, Dolphins cornerback room gets real rough in a hurry. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us here on this edition of Dolphins Today. We cover you on all Dolphins news, no matter if it's massive news like firing Chris Greer or if it's a minor signing like signing A.J. Green. We'll always have you covered.